So why do so many new managers that are appointed into organizations not work out? We've all seen it. We've got a new manager who's been appointed into the organization. They've been given the brief to shake things up and disrupt things. However, when they actually begin the work and they start to make changes, they start to encounter things like pushback, people raising concerns, and even people actually working against them. So in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to share 3 conversations you need to have with a new manager as they join your organization to really stack the odds of probability that they're going to work out in your organization. So it can cause enormous amounts of upheaval and failure at great expense when a new manager doesn't work out. So we're going to just take you through these 3 conversations that are really going to increase the chance of success. Now, this is inspired by the work of Michael D. Watkins, so really would like to signpost you to more reading by him. So the 3 meetings that you need to have is, the first one is the expectations meeting. So the expectations meeting basically is where you create clarity around what success looks like and how you're actually going to measure their performance. So in this conversation, you're really clear in terms of what does your new manager need from you in the short term to be effective, and vice versa. What do you need from them? How are you actually going to measure their performance, and when are you going to start measuring their performance? What will constitute success? What will good look like? And you really need to make sure that your expectations are realistic, because what can happen is, it takes a long time to hire a new manager, notice period, recruitment phase. So it's making sure that you're not expecting too much too soon. You're giving them time to build their relationships, understand the landscape, all those different things as well. The next thing is to think about what are the early wins they can get on the board, because we will be looking at them and saying, okay, well, if they can deliver, we're on board. So there'll be things that they can immediately start to do that are going to really make a difference. And also agreeing what's in scope and what's out scope of their role. So it's important that they don't take on too much too soon. So often when someone comes in, and particularly more senior managers, they really want to have an impact. So they'll say yes to lots of things, but there's often like 1 or 2 main things they absolutely have to deliver on. So therefore, you need to prioritize those things. And then you're then really clear with them about how their role will evolve over time, how they then start to take on more responsibilities and more accountabilities as well. And also you need to be really clear, like, when are you actually going to review their expectations? Because your expectations of them in the first 90 days are going to be very different to your expectations of them in, say, like year 2. So you need to sort of set dates when you're going to actually have those conversations. The second conversation is the style meeting. This is really important. So this is where you're starting to talk about, each other's communication interaction styles and how you can interact best to get the best results on an ongoing basis. So it can be really useful if you underpin it with some kind of psychometric tool like, I don't know, Myers-Briggs or DISC. And so what you can do is that you can then start to identify how your styles differ. So, if you're a very dominant manager, you're fast paced, you're bold, you make, quick decisions, and maybe they're more conscientious, they're, a little bit more moderate pace, a little bit more thoughtful. What does it mean in terms of those 2 different speeds? How are you going to manage that, and what's the implication? And you're going to have differences in perspectives. You've brought them in because they've got expertise, and they're going to have a different opinion. So when you do have a different opinion, how are you going to work it through? How are you going to make time to work those differences out? And also, they're going to need feedback to help them integrate into the organization, both positive and constructive. So it's really understanding how they like to get feedback and how you like to get feedback, because that is such an important part. And just by having that conversation, it actually shows that you're both making a commitment to it. And then also, what kind of communication do they prefer? So, how do you or they like to receive your updates? Regularly, verbal, do you like graphs, numbers, whatever it is? How do you get those updates? And then if we look at decision making, that's also really important too. So what's the boundaries of their responsibility? So what kind of decisions do you want them to make on their own? What kind of decisions are they expected to make on their own, but tell you about? When do they have to consult you before deciding? And when do you need them to actually bring decisions in so you can make them collectively, either the 2 of you or as part of a leadership group as well? So you can have that clarity. They really know how much autonomy they've got, and that will change over time as they get more experience and understand the organization better. Discussion number 3 is the situational diagnosis discussion. Again, really important. This is about making sure that you've both got a shared understanding of the situation that they're in, and that's looking at it through the lens of people, process, and product as well. So what this means basically is every 30 days for the first 90 days, they sit down and they share their findings and insights from what they've discovered so far. So as they're sharing their insights, you can update their perspective. If there's something missing. They might be making faulty assumptions that you can help correct. And also they bring an external perspective in, so they'll have some really valuable feedback and insights they can share with you that's really going to enable you to make some positive change as well. This shared understanding is the foundation of everything they'll do. And it's really important that you're both aligned, that you're both describing the situation in the same way, because therefore you can then start to identify the same priorities. So I said that's every 30 days for the first 90 days. And then one of the things you can also do as well to really stack the odds in your favor is before they arrive is to actually prepare the ground for their arrival. So often when you bring an experienced person in, there's an expectation that they'll establish themselves with little senior support, but they really need the buy-in of everyone around them to make sure that everyone has a stake in their success. So you're going to want to engage with the people that are going to be impacted by this new manager to clarify a few things for them. So the first thing you're going to do is tell them what are the priorities and challenges of this new appointment, this new leader, and what are they going to be tackling? Also, how will that change the roles of the other managers around them? Because obviously they'll be covering and they'll then start to delegate things and hand things over to this new manager. How will things change in the structure and the setup? And also for the people that are impacted, how are their own priorities or the roles going to change as a result of this new arrival? How will things be different? And how will it affect how decisions are made? Who do you need to go to about what? And also, you really want some commitment from them as well. You need them to be clear. How are they going to support the new manager? So sometimes you get people going, okay, well, they're on a big salary. They can just show to me that they're good enough. But they need the people around them to make commitments and support and feedback and all those kind of things as well to help them integrate really effectively. And also being really clear, what do they need to do when they start to see things falling through the cracks? Because when you get a new arrival, it takes time for them to get up to speed. Things will fall between the cracks, and we don't want to see people fail and lose credibility. What do they need to do if they see things? And then finally, when and how should they feedback on the progress of the new leader? This, as I said before, with their own line manager, they're going to need feedback. They're going to need feedback from their direct reports as well, because they might say things that are not suited to the culture, or they might go about things in a different way, or they might just not know where the answers are and they're doing things inefficiently. They need that feedback to keep them on track and to learn about the context. So those are 3 meetings you need to have and how to prepare the ground for their new arrival. Hope you found this really useful. We do tips like this almost every week. So just subscribe to our YouTube channel and just hit the bell and you'll get notified. And we put out regular leadership and organizational development videos, which are packed full of tips, which are there to sort of help modern contemporary managers be effective in their organizations.